Thanks so much, Sean. Thanks so much to the Crossbeam team for having me. My name is Chelsea Graham. I'm a partner revenue executive at Highspot, the other sales enablement leader. I've been in direct sales and partnerships for nearing a decade. Many of those years have been spent at Tableau Software, where they have a fantastic partner program and a mature sales team. Tableau is where I've learned to build the skills and trust with strangers quickly. I've now been able to bring that to Highspot, where we're building our partner co-sell motion from scratch. I get to take my sales at nature heart and apply it to building out this program. But it's not always easy. When I took my first partner role, I didn't realize how much internal selling I would have to do. I honestly thought the sales team, having been a seller, would just come along with me. Maybe that resonates with you. So today, I'm going to talk about how we're approaching gaining the sales team trust. And it's a concept that's simple in nature, but it's not always easy to do. By the way, who knows who John Wooden is? Some nods, some hands, great, great. Really famous basketball coach. He took the UCLA team to 10 national championships. He would teach his elite athletes how to put on their socks. First thing, you put it on, you bring it all the way to the toes, get no wrinkles in there. And that's the foundation to being a great basketball player. You have to put on your socks well. So this is just one aspect of building out a great partnership ecosystem. There's a lot of different things that go into it, right? Just like basketball, it's not just about putting on your socks. You have to have great skills and plays and an audience and all of that. But we're going to talk about how, like socks, there's not always, or there are some unglamorous parts about that. But there are fun parts too, like this event, right? Happy hour, so fun last night. It was so fun to meet all of you. So what I'm gonna tell you is some 4 recommendations that we have when we approach the sales team. I'm not gonna tell you though that this is like an easy 2-step process that you just check the box. It's an ongoing iterative approach. First, I'm gonna walk through some early success we've had, and then talk you through those 4 pillars. And we'll weave in some of those unglamorous parts as well. Sound good? Awesome. So the receipts. We've been doing this now for a little bit, and we got to present a lot of this data at our SKO earlier this year. We've already seen 60% larger deal size when working with partners. Our top reps use partners on over 40 or almost 40% of their revenue. We've seen improved win rates. And already year over year, we've seen 100% influence revenue growth. It's like a hockey stick up and to the right, and that is only going to continue. We presented a lot of this data this February, and this has really been the fuel to the fire. We already have an established trust with the sales team, but now that they've seen this, they're like, I am all in. Let's go with partners. And we've also been receiving some qualitative feedback. These are some wordy quotes. I won't read them, but they're from our reps and sales leaders expressing how great that presentation was with those receipts. But events we're putting together and partner events and how we're able to make easy intros. But how did we get here? This didn't just happen. This is a long, built over time process, about 2 years in the making. It's organic, it's iterative. We change things all the time. But what I'm going to walk you through is these 4 pillars. We'll start with the partner revenue executive. That's me. That's people in my role. When I joined, I was the first one. And now we have 2 more gals that just started. We purposely have a sales background. We're dedicated to a particular sales segment. And we're proactive in our approach, meaning we're not just waiting for them to say, hey, I need some partner help. That just doesn't happen. But we're going to them and bringing ideas to the sales team in a proactive way so that they understand the value and how to use our partners well. There's a lot of enablement that goes into this. Closely related to this is the empathy we bring. We're framing everything in the what's in it for you framework. If there's not a clear takeaway, you won't get very far. Have you noticed that sales reps are some of the most skeptical people on the planet? Where they're giving you side eyes like, partners, I don't know. You have to frame it in, what are they going to get out of it and how are they going to achieve quota? But a lot of this is listening as well. You know, it takes a lot of active listening to hear about concerns and fears, and, you know, sales reps have a lot of big feelings about involving other people into their deals. And finally, recognition. When they're doing something well, we're shouting it from the rooftops. Not everybody likes to be publicly recognized, but we're telling their manager. We're highlighting it in sales all hands. This fuels the fire to get the sales team excited about working with partners because they're seeing not only deal impacts, but their career implications as well. Some of the top sales reps that I've ever worked with have really nailed the partnership piece, and we're showing that throughout our sales team. So the bottom two pillars, collaboration, let's talk about events. Now, over the last 2 years, hasn't been a lot of in-person events. But they're coming back, like this event. We're super excited to be here. There's some magic sauce about bringing reps into a room together. And I'm going to show you what that looks like and some of the prep work that goes into that. And finally, operational efficiency. We want to reduce the friction wherever possible. If it's not easy, a sales rep is not going to do it. So we have to make this really easy, and I'm going to show you some of the tools we use to enable our reps for success. So one of the most unglamorous things that I can think of is 30. That represents 30 hours. When I joined Highspot, I made it my goal to meet every single sales rep over Zoom. That was about 60 separate phone calls, spanning all hours, all US time zones. There were endless reschedules, and literally had the same conversation 60 times. But you know by now, it's really easy to hide behind a Zoom camera or off camera and not get engagement in a team setting. So I made it my goal to talk to every single person, find out exactly what their background is, how they've worked with partners before, and I got to hear some of their concerns. It was my imperative to build trust with them so that when I call them and say, hey, you want to work with a partner? They're like, yeah, I know that Chelsea gal. She'll help me out. So I want to get them to build that credibility really quickly. I've had some experience with this. I came from Tableau. Ever since I took my first partner role at Tableau, I've joked that I'm a part-time mediator and a conflict resolutionist. Tableau obviously had a very successful partner program and a successful sales team. But there were some existing notions about working with partners on the rep-to-rep level. And fundamentally, their concerns come up about quota attainment. So I get to handle these objections a lot. Slow down, listen, and have that empathy. You know, I once had a really contentious partner engagement. The rep was super upset that this call did not go according to plan. She thought it was squarely the partner's fault, that, you know, that this customer wasn't engaged, right? I was able to slow her down, take a breath, listen to her concerns, and then we made a game plan to actually talk with the partner. I could have just said, hey, you're right, that call sounds like a terrible hot mess express. But I brought her together with the partner to debrief, figure out what went wrong, and talk about a great follow-up plan. By slowing her down and having that conversation and connecting the humans together and talk about these things, I believe the negative sentiment just brings the bar way down. We create that connection point and everybody walks away with a better mindset instead of that rep going to her 10 other teammates to tell them what a terrible partner that was, right? I'm sure some of you have experienced that. So at Highspot, where partnering is relatively unknown, it was not super surprising, but I did hear some of this similar curiosity. In those 30 hours where I met with all of those reps, I heard things like partners complicate deals. What if a customer buys their product instead of mine? What if a partner makes me look bad in front of the customer? In all of these conversations and doubt that I hear, especially the one that's fundamentally about quota attainment, I would always talk about how and prep the sales rep to talk about the joint value to customers. Now, of course, you have to have a great joint value story, right? But by encouraging the rep to be confident in that and position that to the customer, I'm not going to tell you it works every single time where the customer will buy all of your products. There's just sometimes budget constraints. But by empowering the reps to feel confident in that and feel confident in the joint value story, they're able to see successes and feel confident in positioning partners moving forward as well, even when it doesn't work. So let's talk about some of those tactical things, those connection events. These mindshare events that we've been calling them have been phenomenal. I know this could be a little contentious. Of course, we followed all COVID protocols and they're optional events, but there's magic about being in person. One event that we did, our partner rep came off the phone and said, those Highspot people, now those are people I want to work with and partner with. That company has incredible culture, and that's exactly the type of company we should be partnering with. That doesn't just happen on a Zoom call, right? That was over a dinner. And I know that sounds basic, but when reps are in the room together talking about their accounts, you end up walking away with several introductions maybe to new customers. We recently did one in Whistler a couple weeks ago where we did a ton of prep work. We used Crossbeam, of course, to account map, to prep every single individual walking into that room to talk about not only their own customers, but some of their teammates' customers. And we each walked away with over 30 new introductions into brand new customers that we didn't have before. That doesn't just happen over a Zoom call. So these mindshare events have been a pretty crucial pillar to our success. Next, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Highspot. We use it. This is a one-stop landing page. You'll see this GIF walk through. This is a real instance. This is our Partner and Alliances page where reps have a one-stop shop. This is literally me. I made this GIF. So you click on the partner request form, and the rep has that. Click on the events. All the event information is there where they can prep not only themselves, but the partners in attendance. Everything that they could need lives on our Highspot page. And this is super crucial. It makes it really easy for the sales reps. It also helps us enable our partners. All of the content lives in one place, and we can engage those reps really simply. I talked about that partner request form. We pipe it into Slack. So they fill it out, and it comes into Slack. And you can see that, again, there's a hand raise emoji. I'm a hand raise emoji kind of gal. But we collaborate right in the thread where other partner people on the team who have relationships with that partner can collaborate. And the sales rep has visibility into it, which helps them understand exactly what we're going to do to help them. When we launched this last February, we had on average about 30 requests in a month. And now we see over 70. So we have to prioritize these, right? You can't have the same level of service, especially when there's only 3 of us handling these 70 requests. And this is just one aspect, right? I mentioned earlier, the most important part is being proactive and not just waiting for these, right? But it is a pretty crucial, easy step that a sales rep can engage us. All of this flows into Salesforce. I usually get a lot of questions about this, so I'm happy to chat with anybody about this later, but we track every single partner connection down to the little micro bits, from reps being introduced to having a conversation, and then of course to how much revenue that's being attached to on opportunities. This gives reps visibility into what's going on, how they can engage with partners, and of course helps us track all of that revenue on the back end, which helps us validate our jobs. So even though we've had all this great success, the work is never over, right? We've come so far. We've had far more engagement, over the last year than we ever had before. But we still have to enable these new reps. We have to speak in terms of value on every account manager, every CSM. We have to incentivize these behaviors. And we still hear these concerns. But if you push through, it could be as simple as that first one-on-one. Starts with a conversation about building those relationships. Whether you're spending 30 hours or 5, I'd recommend putting the time to build those relationships. Optimize your team, your partner team, for the mindset, whether you have a sales background or not. Being able to empathize, being able to relate, frame everything in that what's in it for you will help you go far. And of course, make the most of your technology, like Crossbeam and Highspot. The work's never done, but with commitment and perseverance to overcome these objections and sales team side eyes, you can build these mutual beneficial relationships and accelerate revenue for your company. By the way, we're hiring. I'll see you at dinner.